Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're tackling one of the most persistent, debated, and frankly, misunderstood topics in property investment. The choice between interest-only and principal and interest loan repayments. If I could send a letter back in time to my younger self, just starting out with my first property, the advice on this single topic would have saved me years of mental gymnastics and accelerated my journey dramatically. Back then, I'd hear seasoned investors casually drop, "Just go interest only, mate." And I'd nod, but inside I was screaming, that makes no sense. If I never pay down the principal, how do I ever own it? How do I get out of debt? This feels like renting from the bank. It seemed illogical, almost reckless. It took me years of doing it, of making my own mistakes, and of seeing the bigger picture to understand the profound strategic logic behind that simple piece of advice. And more importantly, to understand when it's brilliant and when it's utterly pointless. So, this episode isn't about declaring one method the universal winner. It's about giving you the mental framework, the why, so you can decide which tool is right for your specific blueprint. Because using the wrong tool for the job, even if it's a popular one, is how you spin your wheels. Defining the battle, cash flow versus debt reduction. Let's lay the foundation. A principal and interest loan is the traditional model. Every month, part of your payment chips away at the actual debt, the principal, and the rest covers the cost of borrowing, the interest. It's satisfying. You see the debt number drop. You feel the progress. For the vast majority of owner-occupiers who buy one home to live in and pay off over 30 years, this is the default, sensible path. The goal is clear: full, debt-free ownership. Then, there's interest only. For a set period, typically 1 to 5 years, renewable, your monthly payment covers only the interest. The principal balance stays stubbornly unchanged. On paper, you're not owning more of the asset month to month. This terrifies the debt-averse. But it comes with a powerful, immediate benefit: a significantly lower monthly outgoing. Your cash flow improves, sometimes by hundreds of dollars a month. The simplistic view pits these two as opposites: security and slow progress versus risk and short-term relief. But for an investor, that's a superficial take. The real question isn't about security versus risk. It's about resource allocation. Think of your capital, the money you'd use to pay down principal, not as disappearing debt, but as a soldier in your army. The strategic question is, where does this soldier have the biggest impact on winning the overall war? Is it in the trench of loan number 1, slowly taking ground? Or is it held in reserve, ready to be deployed for the decisive invasion to capture asset number 2? The core strategy, velocity, and the portfolio mindset. This brings us to the heart of the matter. The power of interest only isn't in the loan itself. It's in how it serves a specific, aggressive investment strategy, building a multi-asset property portfolio with speed. Let's break down a strategic portfolio journey into 3 phases. Phase 1, the planning and foundation phase. This is non-negotiable and where most fail. You're not just picking a house, you're designing a system. What's the end goal? Is it 3 properties providing passive income? 6? How will the loans interact? What's the tax structure for eventual sales? You're the architect drawing the blueprint before a single brick is laid. Phase 2, the acquisition phase. This is the all-out offensive. The goal here is to acquire quality assets as quickly as your financial physiology can sustain without collapsing. Sustain is key. It's about cash flow. This is where interest only becomes your logistical superpower. Imagine you buy property number 1. You now have a choice. Do you take your spare capital and send it to the bank to reduce principal number 1 by, say, $1,000? Or do you park that same $1,000 in your offset account linked to that loan, achieving the same net interest effect as reducing the principal, but crucially, keeping the capital liquid, alive, and ready? If your blueprint from phase 1 calls for property number 2, the answer for a strategic investor is obvious. You preserve that capital. You accumulate it. You use the improved cash flow from interest-only repayments to live and save faster. That parked capital becomes your next deposit, your buffer for holding costs, your ammunition. Interest only accelerates your acquisition velocity. In a market like Australia, where different cities cycle at different times, speed allows you to capture opportunities across states before they all become expensive. Phase 3. The debt consolidation and harvest phase. You've built the portfolio. Now, through long-term holding, 10, 15, 20 years, you allow capital growth to do the heavy lifting. A well-chosen property in a growing area will likely double in that time. Your $500,000 debt is now sitting against a $1 million plus asset. The strategy here shifts. You might sell 1 or 2 well-grown assets. The profit from that sale, the grown equity, is then used to vaporize the remaining debt on the other properties. You didn't pay down the debt with your salary. You used the inflation-beating, market-driven growth of the asset itself. Interest only facilitated the rapid buildup in Phase 2, so you could catch more of that growth wave, and now makes the harvest in Phase 3 clean. The tactical nuances: tax, offset accounts, and renewals. Now, let's get tactical. Why is this not just about cash flow? 2 words: tax efficiency. In Australia, loan interest on investment property is generally tax deductible. Interest on your owner-occupied home is not. This creates a powerful arbitrage. Imagine you have 2 loans. Loan A is for your home, non-deductible debt. Loan B is for your investment property, deductible debt. Every extra dollar you pay off Loan B is reducing deductible debt, effectively making your future tax deduction smaller. That's not optimal. The smarter play? Structure your loans as interest only on the investment property, which is Loan B. Take the principal payments you would have made on Loan B, and instead funnel them into the offset account against your home loan, Loan A. You're now reducing the non-deductible debt faster, saving on that expensive interest, while preserving the full amount of your deductible debt. You're optimizing the system. Then there's the practical matter, the interest-only term. Banks typically offer 5-year terms. At the end, you have options. You can do nothing, and it will usually revert to principal and interest over the remaining loan term, which will spike your payments. Not ideal if you're still in acquisition phase. The proactive move is to apply for a renewal before the term ends. You demonstrate your income is stable or better, and the property is performing, and you often secure another 5-year interest-only period. Strategic investors do this repeatedly. They understand their exit isn't via monthly principal payments from their paycheck, but from future capital gains. They manage the term of the debt, not necessarily its balance. The crucial caveats and who should avoid it. This is not a one-size-fits-all magic pill. The interest-only strategy has real costs and prerequisites. First, the interest rate is usually 0.2% to 0.4% higher than a principal and interest loan. You're paying a premium for the flexibility. Second, because you're not paying down principal, banks see you as a slightly higher long-term risk. This can marginally reduce your borrowing capacity for the next property. You need a good broker to navigate this. Third, and most importantly, is the psychological and strategic burden. During the acquisition phase, your total debt numbers are not shrinking, they're growing with each new purchase. This can feel terrifying without the solid foundation of Phase 1 planning. You are consciously trading the comforting feeling of reducing debt for the strategic position of building assets. If you don't have the stomach for that, or worse, if you don't have the blueprint, you will feel lost and anxious. The cash flow benefit might just fund a nicer lifestyle instead of the next deposit, leaving you with higher cost loans and nothing to show for it. If you are a one-and-done investor, or if the thought of not directly paying off debt gives you sleepless nights, then principal and interest is your friend. The peace of mind is worth more than the potential strategic upside. A simple, executed plan beats a complex, abandoned one every time. Conclusion: your money, your strategy. So what does this leave us? Choosing your repayment type is not a financial tweak. It's a strategic declaration. It answers the question, what stage am I at? And what is the highest and best use of my capital right now? If you're in the acquisition phase, building a portfolio with speed and precision, interest only is a potent tool to improve cash flow and preserve deployable capital, especially when coordinated with offset accounts for tax efficiency. If you're in the foundation phase for your first property, or the harvest phase where debt elimination is the goal, principal and interest, or actively using offsets to simulate it, might be the dominant strategy. The critical mistake is to choose interest only because someone told you it's what investors do, without having the portfolio plan, the discipline, and a long-term horizon to make it work. Without that, you're just paying a higher interest rate to the bank and calling a strategy. Remember, the most sophisticated financial tool is useless or dangerous in the wrong hands. Understand the logic, map it to your own goals, and then decide. Make your loan structure your servant, not your master. Thanks for listening. If this framework has given you a new perspective, share it with someone on their own property journey.